I usually don't follow this stuff, but a friend started sending me this saying, what happened? Don Lemon mocks Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's UK comeback. Make up y'all's mind. Okay. First of all, I didn't mock them. There was a cheeky post about, wait a minute, are they coming? Are they going? What's happening? But I didn't mock anybody. Go back and look at the original post. And then other people start posting the same thing. A lot of sites are just stenographers. This one is from, I think, a Yahoo site. Don Lemon mocks Meghan Markle, blah, blah, blah. Same thing they just picked up what Page Six said. And then some site I've never heard of. Don Lemon makes interracial remark while mocking Harry and Meghan's UK return. The reason I said about the interracial thing is because I'm in an interracial marriage and they're in an interracial marriage. And I said on my show, any man who's 10 toes down like Harry is for Meghan, I stand with them. So I actually support them. And the interracial thing was one of the reasons that I supported them. And there are others. And this is not true, right? Don Lemon rips Harry and Meghan. I didn't rip them. Go look at what I said about them. I said, just to be clear, that I had an issue with the media, especially the British press. If they come back, you don't want them back. If they leave, you mock them for leaving or you criticize them for leaving. So basically that's where the whiplash in all of this was about. But if you really want to know the truth, I'm team Meghan and Harry because there was, let's be honest, some racist shit going on. And the media, the British press especially, is making money off of them. They don't talk about Meghan the way that they talk about Kate or write about it. You know, Kate has a baby bump and she's cradling it. And the other one is like, why is Meghan doing it? Is she being selfish or it's crazy. So yes. Are they perfect? No. Have I criticized them before? Yes. But go Meghan and Harry. And by the way, here's what I will say. Everyone is going to take their cue from King Charles. So if King Charles welcomes them and he is supportive of them, then even members of the royal family will have to follow and the British people will follow as well. He sets the tone. He sets the example. So treat him right, King. Go Meghan and Harry. Don't get it twisted.
I'm going to tell you a secret. There are people out there who will enter your life and decide that they don't like you for reasons that you cannot control. And when that happens, you're going to experience a phenomenon called the smear campaign. And when it starts, under all circumstances, no matter what, stay calm. A smear campaign is rarely ever about truth. It's about control of the narrative. If somebody already has a problem with you, the easiest way for them to weaken your position is to get other people to see you through their eyes before they ever get a chance to know you themselves. So they start planting little stories, little warnings, little interpretations of your behavior. Nothing big enough to look obsessive, but just enough to make the tribe become suspicious. And once a group starts looking at you through that lens, confirmation bias starts to take over. Now everything that you do gets interpreted as evidence. If you're quiet, you're weird. If you defend yourself, now you're defensive. If you stay calm, you're calculating. That's why reacting emotionally is usually the worst thing that you can do, because now you're giving the story material. Stay consistent, stay calm. Keep doing what you were doing before the campaign started, because narratives are hard to maintain when reality keeps contradicting them. And eventually, if someone has to keep campaigning against you while you're simply living your life, people will start to wonder why they're so invested. Always remember, a reaction is a reward. The fastest way to expose a smear campaign is to simply refuse to participate in it. A healthy mind is a healthy life. Stay calm and follow me for more content.
Hold it. The press, the media is having a meltdown over Meghan Markle being dropped from a TV show, The Gentleman, for a role she literally never confirmed. But let's use our brain for a second. TV shows take, 3 to 6 months to shoot? So you're telling us she enrolled her kids into new schools, packed up her life to go back into a hostile tabloid environment for a shoot that would have taken 3 months to be the guest spot on a season 3 show. Maybe the truth is you have no idea why she's coming back, and so you're just inventing things to later cancel them?
The reasoning is it possible, Yasmin, that ill health puts everything into perspective? The King is still receiving treatment for cancer. We know that Kate had a private treatment for cancer as well. And maybe you can bury the hatchet when you actually get things into perspective.
I don't give a damn about the royal family, but I really don't. I'm a Republican. I want them out. I want a fair, they represent the class system in its extreme form. Having said that, though, I find it astonishing how this couple, and I think it must be connected to the private visit they made quite recently.
In July.
And, the King is getting old and he's not very well, we know that. It's their business. Why do we have to sit here in judgment and tell, the brothers, we hope you get on. What will happen will happen. They're private citizens. They're not using our money. I think they should be left as private citizens. But this hatred that boils over every time Harry and Meghan are mentioned, partly because of the way the media has gone on and on about it, but a lot of people really love Harry. He has a way about him that William doesn't. So we'll see what happens. But really, let's get the Republican. And I know people will get very excited now they have so much to talk about.
Okay.
Do they use the same toothpaste? He will know.
Yeah, let's speak to...
Squaddies, let's start right here, because this is where the whole thing gets ridiculous. Don Lemon was talking about Harry and Meghan's return to the UK. And yes, he was joking around. He was questioning the situation. He was having a bit of fun with it. But he also made it clear that he was rooting for Harry and Meghan. Now watch what happens when those comments get picked up by parts of the UK media. Suddenly it becomes, look, Don Lemon thinks Harry and Meghan are making a huge mistake. Hold on, what happened to the rest of the conversation? This is exactly why regular people get frustrated with royal coverage. You can say 10 things, but if one sentence can be twisted into a headline that gets people angry, guess which sentence suddenly becomes the star of the show? There it is. Grab the headline, add a little drama, throw in Harry and Meghan, and boom, you've got another royal circus ready for prime time. And let's be honest, squaddies, Harry and Meghan haven't even properly returned to Britain yet, and we're already being served commentary about the commentary about the commentary. At some point, you have to laugh. Because if Harry and Meghan are supposedly irrelevant, why is everybody working overtime to talk about them? That's the part that doesn't add up. They haven't asked Don Lemon to defend them. They haven't asked the British media to approve their plans. They're simply making choices about their family. But somehow every sentence surrounding them gets dragged into another round of royal drama. And this is where I think ordinary people should push back. You don't have to worship Harry and Meghan. You don't even have to agree with every decision they make. But at least give people the full conversation. If somebody is joking, say they're joking. If somebody is supporting them, include that too. Don't chop up someone's comments, slap a dramatic headline on it, and then act surprised when people start arguing in the comments. Because at this point, Harry and Meghan don't even have to do anything. The media machine will do the running for them. And that's exactly why this UK return is going to be so interesting. Harry and Meghan may be coming back to Britain, but judging by the coverage already flying around, the royal drama has apparently beaten them to the airport. Now this is where I think the media needs to take a deep breath and come back down to earth. Harry and Meghan returning to Britain does not mean they're marching through the palace gates with a suitcase in one hand and a royal job application in the other. Come on. They're not saying, right, where's the office? Who's got our diary? When's the next balcony appearance? No. They're making decisions about their own family. Harry might want to be closer to his father. He might want his children to spend more time with their grandfather. Meghan might have professional reasons for spending more time in Britain. Their circumstances can change, their priorities can change. That's normal. Millions of ordinary families make these kinds of decisions every single day. People move cities, people change jobs, people spend more time with parents, they split their time between countries. Nobody calls an emergency press conference. But when Harry and Meghan do it, suddenly it's, what does this mean for the monarchy? Everything becomes chess. Every suitcase is a political statement. Every flight is a royal strategy. Every family visit becomes evidence of some secret plan. Please. Maybe sometimes a family is just trying to figure out what works for them. And here's another thing. Harry and Meghan can come back to Britain without coming back to the old royal system. Those are two completely different things. Returning to a country isn't the same as returning to the firm. Spending time with family isn't the same as accepting royal duties. And building a life in Britain doesn't mean surrendering the independence they've created for themselves. That's the bit I think some commentators conveniently forget. Harry and Meghan are adults, they can make their own choices, and if their plans change 6 months from now, that's their business too. They don't owe the British media a 5-year master plan just because they're members of the royal family. So instead of turning their return into another episode of William versus Harry round 97, maybe just let the family breathe. Let Harry be a son, let Meghan be Meghan, let Archie and Lilibet spend time with their family, and let these people live their lives without every single decision being dragged under a microscope. Because honestly, squaddies, if Harry and Meghan simply wanted to visit Britain and spend time with family, some commentators would probably analyse the brand of suitcase they brought with them. Sometimes it's not that deep. Sometimes it's just life.
Squaddies, here's the thing that gets lost in all this noise. The British media can talk all day, but they don't get to run Harry and Meghan's lives. They can publish a headline at breakfast, another one at lunchtime, and probably another one before dinner. They can guess what Harry is thinking. They can tell us what Meghan supposedly feels. They can predict what their UK return really means. But here's the problem with all that guessing. They're guessing. Harry and Meghan are the ones actually making the decisions. That's a big difference. They choose where their family spends its time. They choose which projects are worth their energy. They decide what parts of their children's lives stay private. And they decide when something deserves a response and when it simply isn't worth their breath. That's real control, and I think ordinary people understand that more than the media gives them credit for. We've all had somebody gossip about us. Somebody thinks they know your business. Somebody tells a story about you and suddenly you're thinking, mate, you weren't even there. Well, imagine having millions of people doing it. Harry and Meghan don't have to chase every rumor around the internet correcting it. If they did, they'd never have time to live. And that's why I actually think their independence matters. They've already shown that they can build a life outside the old royal setup. They have their own home, their own work, their own projects, and their own family priorities. So if they decide to spend more time in Britain, that doesn't mean somebody else suddenly gets the remote control. They still press the buttons. The media can create whatever version of the story at once. Harry and Meghan can simply look at it and say, that's your version, not ours. And squaddies, there is something very liberating about that. You don't have to win every argument. You don't have to answer every critic. You don't have to correct every ridiculous headline. Sometimes you just keep moving. Let people speculate. Let the commentators debate. Let the tabloids burn through their ink. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan can get on with their family, their work, and their lives. Because at the end of the day, the loudest person in the room isn't necessarily the person in control. Harry and Meghan are still holding the steering wheel, and nobody in the media gets to take it from them. And honestly, can we stop turning Harry and Meghan's every move into some giant royal conspiracy? There are some pretty straightforward reasons they might want to spend more time in Britain. Harry may want to be closer to his father, especially while the king is dealing with health concerns. And if Archie and Lilibet are going to attend school in the UK, that is a massive family decision too. That doesn't automatically mean Harry and Meghan are trying to get back into royal life. It could simply mean they're thinking about family, timing, and what works for their children. But somehow the media can't just leave it there. No, suddenly it's secret negotiations, hidden agendas, palace power games, and 20 different theories about what Harry supposedly wants. Come on. Sometimes a family makes a decision because that's what feels right for them, and that's something regular people understand. If you moved closer to your parents because they needed you, nobody would call it a constitutional crisis. If you chose a school because you thought it was best for your children, nobody would accuse you of launching a royal comeback. So why does everything Harry and Meghan do need a secret meaning? Maybe the simplest explanation is actually the right one. Family comes first, the kids come first, and the Sussexes are allowed to make that choice without the UK media writing a conspiracy novel about it.
Squaddies, now this is the part I think a lot of people can understand, because Yasmin Alibhai-Brown basically said what plenty of ordinary people are probably thinking. She made the point that Harry has something about him, that little spark, that ability to connect with people in a way that isn't simply about the crown, the uniform, or standing on a palace balcony. And honestly, I can see it. Harry doesn't come across to supporters as some distant royal robot reading lines from a script. People have watched him grow up. They've seen the highs, the losses, the mistakes, the family drama, and everything that came with it. He's had a rough road, and that's probably part of why some people feel they understand him. You don't have to agree with everything Harry has ever said or done to recognize that he's a human being. That's the point. And this is where Yasmin's other argument really hits home. Leave Harry and Meghan alone.
Seriously, why does every single thing these two do require a panel of commentators sitting around a table looking like they're solving a national emergency? Meghan posts something online, panel discussion. Harry visits Britain, panel discussion. The children spend time with family, panel discussion. Harry and Meghan change their plans, another panel discussion. At this rate, these two could order a takeaway and we'd have somebody on television explaining what the choice of pizza says about the future of the monarchy. Come on, regular people don't live like this. If I decide to visit my family, nobody calls 6 experts to analyse my emotional state. If I move house, nobody asks whether it threatens the future of the family business. If I post a picture, nobody starts debating what my caption supposedly means. So why should Harry and Meghan have every ordinary decision turned into royal theatre? And I think that's what Yasmin gets right. You can have an opinion without turning someone's entire life into entertainment. Harry and Meghan are allowed to have private moments. They're allowed to make family decisions. They're allowed to change direction. And most importantly, they're allowed to breathe. They don't need palace approval to be loved. They don't need a royal balcony to have supporters. And they certainly don't need every British commentator giving them a scorecard every time they make a move. So squaddies, I say let Harry be Harry. Let Meghan be Meghan. Let them spend time with their family. And maybe, just maybe, give them a break. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say about a family is simply leave them alone and let them live. And this is where the whole thing gets funny. For years we've heard the same old line, Harry and Meghan are irrelevant. Irrelevant? Really? Because the moment there's a story about them, suddenly everybody clocks in for work. Don Lemon is talking about them, commentators are talking about them, newspapers are talking about them, television panels are talking about them, social media is buzzing about them. At this point, Harry and Meghan could sit quietly in their house and somebody would probably write a 900-word article asking why they're sitting so quietly. So let's ask the obvious question. If they're really irrelevant, why can't the media stop talking about them? That's the part that doesn't make sense. You can't spend years telling your audience that nobody cares about Harry and Meghan, then turn around and produce headline after headline about their every move. That's not irrelevant, that's attention. And I think the upcoming UK return is exposing something else. The Sussexes don't even have to chase the spotlight. The spotlight keeps finding them. That's why people need to pay attention to how these stories are being presented. Criticise Harry and Meghan if you want. That's fair. They're public figures. But there is a massive difference between criticism and taking somebody's words, chopping them up, adding a dramatic headline, and presenting the result as though that's the whole story. That's where I say, hold on a minute, give people the full picture. And for regular viewers, this matters because we're the ones consuming this stuff. We're the ones clicking the articles. We're the ones watching the panels. We're the ones arguing in the comments. So we should be able to say, nah, show me the whole story. Harry and Meghan are coming to Britain as a family. They're not arriving to audition for a role in somebody else's royal soap opera. They're not required to perform for the cameras. They're not obligated to explain every family decision to a panel of commentators. And they certainly don't need the media turning their return into another endless Harry versus William showdown. Let them arrive, let them see family, let them live their lives. And if Yasmin Alibhai-Brown's message is simply leave them alone, then honestly, that might be the most refreshing sentence in this entire royal circus. Because sometimes the biggest headline should be, Harry and Meghan are living their lives, the rest of us can mind our business. And somehow, that might be the one thing the royal media finds hardest to do. Thanks for watching. I am your host, Miles. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Blessed week ahead. Goodbye.